This frame looks like a Hollywood trick, but in 1923, the danger was still physical. Safety nets, hidden platforms, and clever angles helped, but the image worked because audiences knew one thing: somebody was really up there. Movies often freeze the samurai world in swords and silence. This older photograph is messier. In the 1860s, Japan was already colliding with firearms, foreign pressure, and a new kind of state power. Today, a bulletproof vest test happens behind rules, labs, and controlled ranges. In this photo, the sales pitch is human. One man stands in the vest while another points a gun at him because proof had to be seen. A second angle makes the scene harder to dismiss. The gun is not a prop, the crowd is not distant, and the test was part of a public performance of safety. Hollywood loves the giant machine. Real war sometimes needed the opposite, a machine that was not there. Inflatable guns and vehicles helped create false armies before the battle even began. The trick only worked if it survived a quick glance from above. These dummy vehicles were not jokes. They were part of an information war, built to make an enemy waste attention in the wrong place. The Quaker gun is one of the strangest truths of the Civil War. From a distance, it could look like artillery. Up close, it was only wood, paint, and the hope that nobody came close enough to check. A child in a gas mask looks like dystopian cinema, but the fear was ordinary enough to be redesigned for families. The mask had to protect, but it also had to convince a child to wear it. This is not a film prop. It is a baby carriage prepared against gas attack. The detail is unsettling because it brings war into the most private place possible, the routine of moving a child. Before radar, armies tried to hear the sky. These giant horns were built to catch the sound of aircraft before the aircraft could be seen. It looks absurd now, but it was a real step between ears and electronics. Other versions made the same idea even more dramatic. Turn human hearing into a military instrument, then point it at the horizon. This is not a science fiction villain. It was presented as a tool for concentration. The isolator blocked sound and limited vision, turning focus into something almost mechanical. The magazine page matters because it shows the invention was not just a strange photograph online. It belonged to a real culture that believed machines could fix human habits. Old beach photographs can look playful until you notice the measuring and policing. Before Hollywood sold easy glamour, public bodies were often watched, judged, and controlled in plain daylight. The first famous human cannonball was not a superhero from a poster. She was a young performer called Zazel, and the spectacle depended on audiences believing a body could become ammunition. Posters turned danger into fantasy. The archive brings it back down to earth, a real person, a real apparatus, and a crowd paying to watch risk become entertainment. Tesla photographs are often treated like fantasy posters, but the laboratory images worked because they gave the public a visual language for invisible electricity, sparks, coils, scale, and danger. The equipment was not just background, it made modern science feel like theatre, and that is one reason later films borrowed the look again and again. Medical history often disappears behind clean hospital scenes. The iron lung tells a harsher story. Survival could mean lying inside a machine that moved air because muscles could not. When movies show the past as simpler, photographs like this push back. These breaker boys were not background characters. They were children inside an industrial system that treated small bodies as useful tools. This glass factory scene is dark, crowded, and hard to romanticize. The worker in the frame is a reminder that childhood was not always protected from heat, noise, and danger. A newsboy with a cigarette is not the charming child worker from a musical. It is street economy written on a face, money, exhaustion, imitation, and adulthood arriving too early. Western films polished the frontier into hats, duels, and heroic silhouettes. This kind of photograph shows the less useful truth: outdoor labor, bad weather, shared food, and the long boredom around the work. Even early printed images helped build the cowboy myth. The gap between the record and the legend is where Hollywood later found its most profitable version of the West. The first flight does not look like the birth of an empire. It looks fragile, low, and almost temporary. That is the truth the later aviation myth tends to smooth away. Early flying machines were often closer to experiments than vehicles. The dream looked less like a movie takeoff and more like trial, failure, and strange engineering. The Hindenburg disaster is remembered as a dramatic clip, but still images show how quickly modern confidence turned into smoke. The machine that symbolized luxury became evidence of vulnerability. Depression-era films could turn hardship into sentiment. The photograph is colder. A Hooverville was not an idea. It was a place where people built homes from whatever the city had thrown away. Even a detail like this floating privy tells a larger story. Survival in the margins meant inventing infrastructure when official systems did not include you. Not every old future became real. Some machines now look like props, but they were serious attempts to solve movement, distance, and power before the successful designs became obvious. The past is rarely one clean costume. It is transition, old roles, new weapons, imported technology, and people trying to stand inside all of it at once. This dummy Sherman is a good ending because it looks like a movie mistake until you know the purpose. It was not built to fight. It was built to be believed from the wrong distance.